Good evening, Shufflebus Nation. What is up? It's your boy Jesse here with my good friend and co-host. Who we've been doing this, Neil, for I bet it's been 5 years
Oh,
now.
4 weeks.
Yeah, but we've
Oh.
been doing Solforge for 4 weeks. But been doing this live stream style for at least three. And hold on,
I don't think we're live.
we are.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I can see it
I'm
on
trying.
YouTube.
Mine is not up.
You got to go to the live section on the channel.
Oh, I found it. Never mind. Crisis averted.
um, but yeah. So I was just thinking about this the other day. We've been streaming games now for 5 years, 4 years. Is it 4 years or 5 years?
I don't know. I thought we did Ashes for like 3.5.
2.5. Ashes was 2.5.
Okay, so
We were
and
in Transformers for
before
two
that we were in
years.
Yeah, so 5 is probably about right.
Yeah. That's pretty. It was pretty wild, dude. I was like thinking through that. I'm like, gosh, we've been doing this for a long ass time, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna get back more Solforge Fusion. Obviously, excited to be kicking off our first qualifier this Saturday.
I am excited for that. I am excited to fumble through the commentary because I don't know all the cards.
Yeah, me too. Like the one benefit of all of this is we'll be able to see hands and some of that stuff. I think because of the way we have to probably set up the tables for the table one, like we'll have to create the tables room, and then players can join in on it, and we'll just be a GM color instead of
Yeah.
the player color. So hopefully that that serves a purpose for the live stream coverage and things like that. But whether or not we show the hands or we just go with generic colors or no colors, that's something we can sort of.
I mean, the hand cams are whatever for me. I don't know what the audience thinks. Like, obviously, we have a new audience, new game. I enjoy doing commentary of a game I know without hand cams because you get to like speculate, and then the big plays are more fun because
Right.
you don't just they're not telegraphed. But for this, like they open or close doesn't matter to me. I don't know what the cards do anyway.
Right.
So
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be fun and eye opening to watch some high quality players duke it out. We've got 21 registered participants already, which is awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we had anticipation for that. That number. Obviously, we set the event up for 128 because we can, but the idea being was, it's our first event. Will we see a lot of traction for it? Obviously, the answer to that question is yes. I mean, coming from another community where we couldn't hardly fire a single day qualifier, we were kind of going in with some trepid hopes, right, that we'd at least get enough.
Yeah, and tournament. The size of the digital community for this game is enormous.
Yes,
and the support for digital /TTS /whatever from Stoneblade is also enormous. So it doesn't really surprise me that we got more.
Yeah.
Though, obviously everybody's welcome. Want it to be as big as it can.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that we see more folks registered.
I was on Dan's stream last night.
Yeah.
He invited because I won the Civil War thing last week,
right,
in Marvel Snap. So I was on his pod last night. We were talking about, the first two events had 18 players total.
Right.
It was like 9-9 or 10-8 or something. This week he had 54.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a big jump.
And I was like, I don't know if you can TO that many players, Dan. All by your lonesome.
Well, fortunately, I would imagine TOing in that game is probably a little bit more straightforward because the game handles the rules, so you can't really fumble a rule, right? Whereas,
the thing that you have to police in Snap is the deck lists, right? And he's using Battlefly, which is he used Smash like we did for Ashes in the first two events,
right?
But this week he's using Battlefly because apparently that's popular among Hearthstoners or whatever, and
Hmm.
I mean, that change is part of why he has 50 players now instead of uh 10. But
Right.
I don't know. I've been in their Discord. It's been very busy and awkward all day. People trying to find each other and just a
Yeah. I
big
mean,
mess.
I I think that's one thing that's going to be interesting about this, because this will be the first time that we've hosted uh, the tables on our own server, right? Instead of using the host game server.
Yep.
But the reality of it is like Stoneblade isn't set up. Their server isn't set up for a big tournament like this, so we kind of had to do that. And
Right. And I mean, we want the infrastructure anyway.
right, absolutely. I think it's
I
best for us to have a single clear channel of communication for participants, all kinds of different
yeah.
things. So yeah, I'm super excited for it. Obviously, there's been an influx of growth on our server. Hopefully, everybody who is signed up for this, if you haven't joined our Discord server, link is in this stream right now, so you can go down the description and join there, or the link is in the details, event details information for the event. So
Yeah. It's very important that you get in the Discord server.
yeah, there's
You will
absolutely
not be
no way
able
to
to
do this.
play.
No.
Uh so if you're signed up for the event and you're not in the Discord server, please get in there as soon as possible.
Yep.
Um
And I honestly, it's difficult for me to police that because not everybody includes their Discord name in their registration. So
do we have
uh,
emails?
we have just the communication tools from Stoneblade. I don't believe they're.
Okay.
I can look into emails, but at the end of the day, if there are emails, I will put an email together and send out a reminder before Saturday. So that'll go out probably tomorrow if I can
Yep.
do it. If not, I'll see if there's any way to message participants inside of the event software. That's another thing that I don't know if it exists or not in the Stoneblade
That
software.
that was the big thing about switching to Battlefly that Dan said was that Battlefly has like in browser chat and match reporting on their website.
Yeah.
So you can contact your opponent through that if you're not connected via Discord or email or whatever. But
Right. Yeah.
so maybe the Stoneblade one has that, or we can give
Yes.
Shadow and Company a hint to add that to
I
the.
do indeed have on the roster. I have emails. So
Yeah, we should probably send out a blanket email to everybody tomorrow
I will.
and
There's
just
because
say
there's a
like
number of
if you're
folks that
not
don't have fused decks yet either. So
right, if you're not in the Discord, you haven't submitted a deck, please do so. You only have X amount of hours.
right. Right. Obviously, we got some big names from the community jumping into play, which I'm super excited that they're on board. It'd be really fun to watch what some of these folks do. I've played with some of these folks, and they are extremely potent players. So it's going to be there's going to be some good competition. I think that's
Yeah,
exciting.
I hope it's the best competition.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's always our hope, no doubt about that. The There's still time to sign up for the event. You can actually sign up all the way up until the last minute for the event. That's just the way the software works. So if you're on the fence about it, you can still join. You've got till 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's GMT -6 because apparently the software doesn't handle server localization or localization to the player. So that's apparently a thing on the list for Stoneblade to fix. I think that's a big fix that needs to be put in place for these online events. Not as big of a deal if you're looking at going to your local store, which is what the software was built for in the first place. But when you're talking about online and this digital component, not obviously almost nobody's going to be in the same time zone, so it's kind of important to know what time zone it starts in for yourself. And I will tell you that I've had some feedback from would-be potential players that said 8 a.m. was just too early of a start, particularly folks that are out on the Pacific, time zone. That's a 6 a.m. start time for them. So I am open to
Well,
adjustments on this, as not for this tournament, but for future tournaments, so that we have
right. I mean, it's gonna end up being like majority based, and that's very sad for those people who it is difficult to make it for, because we do want to include you, and perhaps in the future we can have a West Coast time zone tournament or whatever, or a European time zone tournament or whatever. But for the time being, we need to
I think we
get
have
it running. And
we have a player that is playing out of Hawaii, I believe.
Well, it must be the middle of the night there.
It will be when the tournament kicks off. It will be 3 a.m.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
I mean,
I remember
props to them.
playing the finals of whatever Transformers tournament online digital with that Tim from Malaysia,
Yeah,
and it was like 1 in the morning here, and it was his lunch hour.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I
So
mean, if you live in a time zone this is awkward for, we apologize. If you're able to make it work and you want to stay up late or get up early or whatever and join us, we are very happy to have you. But for the time being, like it's just the way it is.
right.
And if you were signed up for an in-person event, you'd be flying there. So like
Yep.
this is how it works.
Yeah, it does. And to be fair, like obviously our goal is to make it as accessible as possible.
Yep.
So it's possible that the best course of action to make it more inclusive to the US time zones is to push the start times on future events to say like at 10 a.m. so that it's
And
8 a.m. Pacific, and
if we, I mean, this is me, so you can jump in on this, Jesse, if you want to, but I won't sign you up for this. If we get 30 Europeans or 30 people in Oceania or Asia or wherever, I will cast a tournament in the middle of the night.
yeah, sure, absolutely.
Like probably one time. But like it's it's a lot harder for us to set up the infrastructure outside our time zone it is than for players to come into our time zone from their time zone just to play, right? So
Right.
if we get it working, we get a bunch of hype and everybody's up for it. I'm totally up for it. But for now, I hope that people from around the world in difficult time zones are interested and want to join us.
Yep. And if you're catching this like on demand later off of our YouTube channel, just join the Discord and message us about it. Right, talk to us about it. I mean, we're happy to set up and organize that. And honestly, like it's possible that we could help somebody else, facilitate running one of these events
Absolutely.
and doing it in a time zone where we're not capable of doing it. So, there may be some opportunity to discuss that and what that looks like. Um, obviously prizes for this tournament are exciting because there are two pre-release booster kits for Battle for White Fang
Yeah.
Pass, and
Thanks very much to Stoneblade for
yep,
generously providing those.
absolutely. And Alex has been fantastic to work with on this whole process, so I got to give him some major props. Like I was like, he's in the UK, so here's the time zone difference thing, right? And I'm like trying to
Yep.
set up the event, and I'm like, Alex, I'm having this problem. Just get back to me when you can. And like he was like less than a minute back to me, and I'm like, I didn't mean like right this second, dude. Like you're okay.
He
Like
yeah. The I've only met him the one time we had the meeting with him, but he's very personable and nice and was very accommodating to us.
yeah, it's
And
awesome.
obviously like that shows like we're very grateful from Shufflebus, but in general the community should be very, very grateful for that kind of like
Agreed.
availability and interaction from the publisher
Yep.
and the
So some interesting things about
booster.
Solus, the planet that or the world that Solforge is based off of. Did you know it's an all basically a planet covered in ice?
I did not.
I didn't either. I
I am
heard
not familiar with the lore.
I'm not really either. But because I've been, jumping into this community and participating in Fuse Fest and doing all these things, like I started consuming a lot of the podcast content that is out there. I'm just driving
Yeah.
around town, stuff
Hmm.
like that. Charge Plated Podcast, by the way. If you guys aren't listening to Charge Plated Podcast, uh, you need that on your download list. Like, put it out there. Those guys are awesome. Church and Fizzlesticks are doing amazing work over there, and they deserve your follow for sure. And then the Fifth Cycle with Trey and Matt, and those guys are doing awesome work as well. Very different styles between those two podcasts. So even though they might be covering some of the same information, sometimes the the style of the content of the show is so different that you can kind of consume it twice, and it doesn't feel like you consumed it twice. And I'm kind of specifically talking to both of them put out Fuse Fest uh, podcasts in the last week or so, right? And so you're like, oh well, should I listen to both views? Yeah, you should, because they were very very different approaches. Like Fifth Cycle did a panel with a bunch of players from Fuse Fest, and they talked about their experience, which was really cool. and then followed up with an interview from Zach Bunn, you know, owner of Team Covenant, one of the owners of Team Covenant. And so,
Right.
you know, I think it's very interesting um, to hear those different perspectives, because Charged Plate talked about their experience and what they saw out of set two, but they have a very different sort of analytical mind to the game. And Fizzlesticks is extremely good at the game. Finished second at Fuse Fest, and Church, I think, finished just outside of the top 8. So, I mean, two very, very strong players talking about set two, and their experience from set two gives you a very different perspective than what the fifth cycle brought to the table, which was fun. It was fun to listen to both of those. So I encourage you, if you're checking this out, make sure you follow those on your favorite podcast apps, because they are worth the listen, no doubt about it. So obviously, this is not a podcast. This is a live cast, right? So we do things a little differently around here at the Shuffle Bus, and we're focused more on you know, just the here and now of it, and then the tournament structure. And so if you're new to that, which I would expect almost everybody in Solforge would be new to that, there are some players that are experienced this in other games. Know this: the Shufflebus qualifiers are an opportunity to get invited to the Shufflebus Invitational. I can tell you that the Shufflebus Invitational will be a silver level event. It will be basically an online version of a store championship, right? And so we're excited to create that ecosystem for more players to experience, level up their decks, progress their renown, do all of those things without barriers of geography. Because there are some really, really good players out there that are, you know, high up on the leaderboards, and they'll flat out admit that in the current system, the only way you can get high up on the leaderboard is by playing in a large volume of tournaments in and around your local area, because they're being hosted there. So if you're like me, where our local store will probably host a tournament a month, and that's because I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen, right? Like, it's never going to happen. I'm never going to be a renowned player that's going to be sitting on the top of the leaderboards because of the way the system works and the volume of the games. But things like online leagues like this and online qualifiers like this will actually help you in that respect if you care about these sort of things, right? And I think that's really good. And there was a lot of feedback this week on the Stoneblade Discord talking about, you know, potentially how the OP system should work, and some of the shortcomings of the deck leveling system, and how it has some negative impacts on store championships. So I was surprised to see that information, but I think it's really good information, and we'll see how Stoneblade reacts to it at the end of the day. I mean, it's their game. They can decide how they want to handle it. But I think that there is some really good feedback from the community, and I do get a sense from Alex and Shadow that these guys intimately care about this community and making sure that it's listened to. Okay, so Neil, I'm on a journey. That's the best word I can use for this. I'm not going to Indianapolis. You're going to Indianapolis.
My trip is officially all booked, and now I have started the process of preparing.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about your preparation. Like, how are you approaching preparation on this?
So that's an interesting question, because I have no idea.
I'm so glad, because I feel like I'm wandering in the wilderness, dude. Like,
well, so
I feel that.
The issue that I have personally from my experience in other games is that traditionally, even when I was new at stuff, the basic theory of like, get a feel for the game, get a feel for what decks are good, pick one and jam a million reps with it into the other good decks, is not like a thing you can do in Soulforge. You know, I have been talking to Shadow, and I was talking to people in our Discord, and just kind of like trying to get a feel for what everyone's doing, and no one knows, right? There's some possibility that there's like a large number of S plus decks out there that nobody's seen, and as silver events start to fire, they will be seen, and they'll have a better idea. There's also the eventuality that we've seen the best decks or versions of them. Like there's never going to be like, well, red blue's the best. Like that's just never going to happen.
Sure.
It's just going to be like, well, these 10 cards won the lottery and these 10 cards won the lottery, so these 20 cards are very, very good.
Yeah.
And that could be in any color pair. So for me, for my prep right now, what I've been doing is going on just in the last couple of days, because I've been just like spending time trying to figure out even what the process should be. Just going on TTS and playing games with quick start, because my knowledge of the card pool is not deep enough yet.
Sure.
I'm like 30% maybe of knowing the cards. And because there's no meta to understand, and because the deck lists are public information, 100%, I think the best place to start is memorize the card pool. And if you have the ability to literally memorize the card pool, good for you. I think that is something that I will be able to do eventually, because my brain retains that kind of information very well. But it takes time, right? I will not be able to completely memorize 280 cards with all the modifiers by Indy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be a feat, man. I think.
Right, and so when I say that, like obviously, I don't think that there's a person that could literally memorize and retain the information of all possible combinations of cards.
Right.
But because there's 280 cards, that's a very manageable number of cards to know. Like I mean, if you ask me to, I bet I could rattle off 2,000 Magic cards, or like all,
sure,
probably more. So like 280 cards is not a big deal. The like what is like 60 modifiers or something?
Yeah, there's a lot. 30 modifiers or something. I think it's an enormous sum.
So just knowing, so you treat the modifiers like a card themselves is what I'm going to attempt to do. Where so now I have to memorize, 320-ish items, and knowing that combat profit is a 10/10 or whatever. I'm just making this up. Don't quote me, because I don't know the cards. Somebody's gonna at me in the comments of this. Combat profit's a 9/9, like because I said 10/10, but just hypothetically for the purposes of my discussion, knowing that like arrogant, combat, stout are just like blanks, essentially. They're just stats, is good enough, right? Like, so when I sit down across from you and I pick up your little card to, try to figure figure out what I'm playing around. If it says like combat profit, I'd be like, okay, that's a guy. This is not something that I really need to spend a lot of mental energy retaining. If it's a suppressing profit, for instance, that's the kind of ability that suppressing being kill a 3, 5, or 7, I think, depending on level when it comes into play. That's the kind of thing that I want to be aware of if they have a suppressing profit, because I will then know that my 3 or less power guys in cycle 1 and my 5 or less power guys in cycle 2 are suspect plays unless I know that the suppressing guy's not by. So, and that's the kind of information you would use in any game, right? If you knew the meta. So like we're playing standard Magic or whatever, and I know what deck you're on. I don't have your deck list in front of me, but I have a good idea because I know the meta of what I need to play around in your particular deck.
Right.
It's the same thing, right? So I think that's my beginning, is I'm just going to keep smashing games so I can get reps in with the game mechanics, and also continue to switch random decks all the time, because I want to see the most cards. The best way that I retain card information is by seeing them on the table. I'm bad at card names, but like the visual image of the card, the like artwork / power health / just what it looks like to me, I would be able to tell you what it does, right?
Right.
And that's good enough. So that's my current process. I believe that, you know, for the next several weeks, I'm going to be watching the marketplace. I'm going to be watching eBay for potential decks that I am going to buy to play in Indie. I did put my collection to the collection manager, my piddly 50 decks or whatever, and I have gone through it a small amount, but I had gone through all my decks before, obviously a few times trying to make stuff for the stream, and I'm just not very impressed with my collection, which I think is, just I just haven't invested that much money in products, so that's
Right.
the result of that.
Ben, what's going on, dude? Welcome to the channel. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, I bet you in 50 decks, you have two half decks that would make an A tier list. You know what I mean? Like, I think there are probably two decks in that 50 that'll make an A tier.
Sure, maybe there is.
I honestly believe that's possible. I don't think it's impossible because most of the lists that I have seen sort of lean heavy on one or two sort of solid strategies. It's very, but I do fear that that isn't going to be good enough when you get to a big event like Indy, right? Like,
Right, exactly. Like
yeah,
that was kind of what I was saying to begin with, was like, for all we know, decks of the caliber that are going to win silver events have not been shown really
right.
in the
And
wild.
they've been kind of hidden because the only real advantage to a silver deck is at a silver event is you get a first round buy. So that's big, right? Like that's not small. Like when you talk about the advantage you get there, but it's not a guaranteed lock. In terms of
Right.
success, right?
Assuming that you're the kind of person that has access to many good decks, it becomes almost like a press your luck game, right?
Sure.
Where when you're doing the qualifying type steps, you want to play like the one that's like just good enough,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
It's still probably better than anything I have in my 50, right? But like
Right.
if you own if you own 500 decks or whatever, or you've spent time perusing the marketplace / eBay for good decks, if you've had access to some large number of decks and cherry picked, you know, you don't want to play the best one because you don't want to run it out there and start checking off its like number of times it can be played. And you don't want to like this is a game where, because the decks are unique and there's going to be tournament reporting, like you're going to show up at your gold event and be like, oh well, at the silver event he qualified for this with, he played this and this and this, right?
Right.
Like,
And
and everyone will
and at
just
a
know
gold event,
that.
you have to run a silver or higher deck. So
Right.
that there's a pretty good chance you're going to see a very strong deck there. The Ben saying, if you haven't yet, it's worthwhile to get others to review your pool. Crowdsourcing it may give you other perspective on the strength of your decks. Yeah, that's how I started, man. Like I was just like, I know nothing about this game, so what do I have in my pool of cards that work, like even work together, right? Like I'm not even saying it has to be strong, but just like has some ingrained like playability. Here's something that
Yeah.
was really interesting in my experience. We remember the sealed event where I opened the Drix with the Rallying Tinkerer and the Apocamancer and the Warmonger mod. I mean, it's probably something you go to therapy over on a weekly basis at this point. But
I still think that deck's crazy.
the blue side of that blue deck is good, but it is severely lacking in removal. And I have been playing it quite a bit with various pairings. And so I actually traded for another, based on some crowdsourcing, to Ben's point here, some crowdsourcing of like what I should pair it with. And the general consensus was I needed to pair it with like Pterodon Mauler and Asperian Steel Plate and Shardplate Delver, which are all these Utera cards that have replace synergy, right? So like you get all this, and a lot of breakthrough, and you understand where this is going, right? Like it turns into a big creature that's stomping through smaller creatures for damage to opponent's face.
Right.
Uh,
If they're breakthrough guys, you're just like getting the most value out of your Drix
Yeah.
triggers.
And honestly, I found a really good deck for that, and I traded with somebody for a really good. I found one that had all of those check boxes, and had a Talisan, and had a Leyline Vermin. Like it looked like, oh, like this is kind of like all of it. Didn't have a Botanite or a Nap Time or anything that kind of controlled the opponent's board. So it didn't have a battle like a Vine Lash. It didn't have anything that allows you to like make combat math work for you. And the idea being with this deck would be just okay, you're just making enough units between your Drix, the the Forgeborn ability, Phoenixborn. Look, I'm still in Ashes mode sometimes.
Yeah.
The Forgeborn ability to make minions, right? I have the ability to make 2 minions on my Forgeborn, and those combinations giving me the best opportunity to sort of flood the field and make big dudes, right? That's the idea. The problem with the green deck that green deck paired with it is the green deck is so good on its own that when you get a hand that has Drix and Apocamancer and Shardplate Delver and Leyline Vermin, for example, right? Like they're all really good cards that it's so difficult to know what's the right play. And
Well, I think Drix is pretty much always the right play, but
it's not though, because there are situations where that's not going to be actively good for you. And understand, like, it's not obvious, number one, for somebody at my skill level. So this is a skill level thing we're talking about. But it's also a deck that if you get behind on board, it has no real way to catch up. Does that make sense? Like it's hard for it to catch up, and it takes like a lot of these creatures that are impactful, Drix being one of them, Apocamancer, etc. It takes the level 2 or level 3 version for those things to become bonkers good, and you suffer mightily in the early game, right? Like the games I have won with this deck, I took 30 or 35 damage before I finally turned the corner and finished the game. And if you're up against something like Drain, like Shambler or something like that, where you're wanting to have creature combat and exchange creatures to do things like this, it's really difficult to beat it, right? Because that life gain is so big. And yeah, it's been an interesting thing, but I actually think the version of the deck I played, the sealed version of the deck I played with you that night, actually ended up better than this like 3 replace creature synergy.
So when you started the whole thing, like this is my issue with the crowdsourcing thing, right? Like I believe that over a large number of reviews, the crowdsourcing thing will get it right most of the time.
Right.
Over a middling number of reviews, I don't know that I believe that. Like,
yeah.
This is there's just going to be people that evaluate things differently, and we're in a state of flux where we don't have great like total knowledge. Right. I'm sure there are some few people that do, but again, if we're talking about crowdsourcing, we're not talking about going to those few brain trust folks. We're talking about like overall, and like the way that you described that to me didn't sound like what you wanted to be doing with that deck anyway, to me.
Well,
I mean, unless you have like a bunch of Lycian Reigns or whatever, because that is those kind of effects. The multiple minions are a combo with Apocamancer,
right? Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think you're right. I think that what any one player preferences, and don't get me wrong, this green deck I traded for is very good, right? Like it's a half that in and of its own is very good, right? And I think the blue half is in and of its own very good, but those two together don't necessarily work. Well, they work, but they don't necessarily work great.
You're not adding much to a good Drix deck by putting big creatures in it, because your availability to have dudes that are large with a Drix is like essentially every dude is large once you have your Drix going, right? Like And if they kill your Drix or whatever, you're sad, but this, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you have a Drix, so you play your 5/5 or whatever, and it turns out to be a 7/7. Or, if it's level 2 Drix, you play your 9/9, it turns out to be a 14/14,
Sure.
something stupid like that. And so all of a sudden, like, does it matter that you have a dude that stats are just like, instead of it just being a 9/9, it's like a 10/11 or whatever, and then you do the same thing? I think you were to cover more bases than that. I
Yeah.
also find it kind of ridiculous that, after we had that discussion, I still think your deck is incredible. It's not as good as this one that I'm going to reference here, but it's like very close and very similar. Was this deck? There was a deck on the Discord that is on eBay right now for $51. And the Forgeborn is Ironbeard, and he's kind of bad, but it has Apocrymancer, Drix, double rallying,
Yeah, the double rallying
and
huge on
a
that deck.
recycling. Well, but this is the thing, though, is like, yes, this is better than the one that you had, but it's also almost identical. Like, it's like the only thing this has over yours is like the second rallying, which is obviously big,
Mhm.
but you're still like, with one rallying, you're still like very likely to play a rallying every cycle. And your deck had a Warmonger mod, which is also an incredible card that this deck lacks. And everybody's like, well, that's a B plus, and we kind of like, let it roll over. And I feel like that's the kind of thing that like doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, if I was choosing between your deck and this particular deck, I would choose this particular deck because of the double rallying. But that's the only thing.
Right.
I think most games are going to function very similarly between those two halves, and your deck should be like, way up there, close to that. And I don't know. This was kind of this is kind of the problem I have when we enter any game, is like, you go on the Discord, and especially a game like this has a huge Discord, and you're just flooded with information.
Right.
And I don't think any of it is disinformation. Like, I don't think any of it is like purposefully false information.
Sure.
But some of it is false information. Like,
Sure.
they're gonna like, and it's very difficult to parse through, especially, like I said, when the game is in a state of flux like it is right now, where there may only be 20 people in the world that have like close to perfect game knowledge, if that exists.
Right.
And so I'm hesitant to delve deep into these like Discord conversations and stuff, because I just don't know what's right.
Sure.
Like, everybody loves Dark Heart Sorcerer, everybody loves Shambling Guys, and then a few other people say they're bad.
Sure.
And the few other, like, the reason that I bring that up is because, yes, the consensus is that the Drain Guys are good, but the few people that I talk to that say that they're bad are high profile individuals in the community. And so, like, it will always be a goal of mine in the Shufflebus to give the correct information. And I will joke about never being wrong, because I'm never wrong. But if I get something wrong, I'll go back and correct it.
Sure.
And I'll bring it up all the time. Like,
and I won't let you forget when you're wrong. You know that.
Right. So I think that in general, the crowdsourcing thing works to get you 70% there, right? Like,
yeah.
to get you a general idea of what your collection is worth. But especially if you're trying to prepare for a big time event and you're trying to prepare to win it competitively, like, I have no clue where you're supposed to go to get the resources to understand that level.
I honestly think this is why I preface this. We started this whole conversation. I said I'm wandering in the wilderness right now, right? Like,
right?
Because everything that I'm learning, yes, I'm learning things every time I play the game, no doubt, right? I mean, there's takeaways from it. There's theories that get crafted in my brain from it. There's all kinds of things that happen. The reason I feel like I'm wandering is because it's so difficult in this game to know whether you played against, a deck that could potentially be a platinum deck later down the road, or a deck that is never going to get itself out of bronze, right? There's like
Right. I
No,
mean, that disparity you can probably tell. Do you know the difference between a silver deck and a gold deck? Probably not,
right,
right?
right,
Like,
right. Well, that's my point, right? I mean, maybe platinum is too extreme, but like my point is that like obviously I know I'm sitting down every time I sit down online with somebody. I know that I'm probably playing somebody with more experience in Soulforge than myself, right? So
sure, absolutely.
I'm at a distinct skill disadvantage right now. No problem. I can live with a skill disadvantage because I know that I can surpass the skill disadvantage by just working through my reps, right? Taking my reps, playing the game, seeing what happens, learning how the game functions, all of those things, I can eventually close the skill gap. I'm very committed to that process and understanding that process. Again, going back to like we talked about with Ash's growth mindsets, I think Soulforge has a very similar sort of entry point. It's easier to have just random wins in this game than Ashes because the card pool is so diverse and randomized. So whereas like Ashes, the card pool was fixed and finite, and so obviously there were good decks and there were bad decks. Um, it's I do think that this deck is more new player. This game is more new player friendly than Ashes will ever be.
Ashes is a difficult game to get your head around.
Yeah, for sure. So, but that being said, like coming full circle on it, when you talk about like the adoption cycle of learning a new game and some of those things where we're at right now, like I'm more games in than you are, right?
Yes,
And
that's very true.
and in my more games, like I'm starting to see things that I believe are tenets that are true, right? Like things that have never seemed bad when they're played on me. You know what I mean? Like that always feel like they're possibly good for you no matter what. And that's things like Cersei's Death Touch, for example. I think that particular ability
Is that
is
the kill a level 1 or kill level 1 or 2 thing? Is that your
yeah. So like if you have level 2 Death Touch, like the cycle 3 Death Touch, you can
it?
kill a 1 or 2 card with it.
Yeah,
And I just think that on a stick is very very good. Doesn't I don't think it's hard to make that reach, right?
yeah. I mean,
Um,
that's an ability that's very easy to evaluate, right?
right,
Like,
right. So so you can start. So then you kind of can go back to your collection and say, where do I have that ability, right? Like if I know that ability is good, what's the deck that I have that has that ability if I have it, and does that deck have anything going on, or is it terrible? Like
right.
you can kind of start parsing down your collection that way. I'm not saying this is 100% right, but I do think that the Forgeborn abilities are very powerful and are very much a consideration for what is the best starting point for a player. Like instead of looking at the decks, I think we want to look at the decks and we want to evaluate the cards, and I think those are super important. But I think the first step is really understanding powerful Forgeborns and what powerful Forgeborn are doing in
I
certain
think that
games.
that's good advice and very fine thinking for evaluating your own collection, right?
Yeah,
Because when you're evaluating your own collection, like the ceiling and the floor are like the floor is low and the ceiling is low,
yeah,
right? Like
right,
in for the very large majority of players,
right.
you know,
Ben's adding some good
you'll
stuff here
have
too. So
uh
he's
yeah, I
added that
see.
he said I definitely won't get you all the way there with crowdsourcing. I agree with conflicting information, making it hard to parse what information is actually good. Then he's added that I think a lot of people are going to rate cards highly that they've had good experience with, but it isn't always easy to see what cards were in the deck that supports it to make it good. I agree with all
Right.
of those statements, Ben. 100%.
One thing about the delta difference between as an example, your blue side that we talk about all the time, and that blue side that I was quoting from the Discord the other day is that the support cards are also better.
Mm-hmm.
It has like an Epoch Hawk, it has just like a recycling something or other, which your deck had a recycling something or other as well,
Yeah,
which is
mine's a
the
recycling
like
Justicar, I think.
yeah, which and that's the it gets bigger when it replaces something, which is also a small synergy, though you would prefer to play the rallying, obviously.
Right.
Um, so there is that as well. And that part I think is you know the hardest part for a new player, or at least for myself, to evaluate because the bombs are easy, right? Like
Sure.
the bombs are bombs. You don't have to be super smart to understand which cards in the game are great and which cards are not. It's it's the rest of it, like comparing your deck to that deck, for instance. How much do the like obviously the Drix and Drix are the same, Apochromancer are the same, rallying uh,
I have a
rallying are the
Tinkerer.
same. You have a Tinkerer. I don't know what the cards were in the other deck. I closed the window, but so Tinkerer versus whatever they have additional rallying, which obviously gives them a check mark. And they have like an Epoch Hawk where you have like a crappy guy, that kind of thing. Like, but once you get past that list of like the bombs, then it becomes hard to evaluate because you also have to remember that we're talking about have 20, pick 15, or like have 20, C15, pick 6,
Right.
right? Like for the most part, obviously there are cards that break the rules and let you
absolutely.
play
Yeah,
some
yeah,
additional cards. Right?
yeah, yeah.
Specifically to these blue halves, there isn't besides the Warmonger mod
Right.
in your deck that let you play additional cards.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong,
And
level 2 and level 3 Warmonger mod are insane. I mean, they are
and it's fine at
so
level
good.
1.
Yeah.
Like
It's okay at level
the the yeah, I mean, in general, just like that's hard for me to evaluate. So when we're talking about like crowdsourcing my collection, or whatever, I'll put it out there for people to look at and tell me what cards are good or bad. Like that is advice that I would like to hear. But my plan for indie is to go buy a deck, like because
maybe you and I
I
should
know
put our collection managers on the Shufflebus website. That way,
yeah,
followers of the channel can look at what we've got and they can theorize about it and talk about it in the Discord and say, hey, these are some things we would consider for you guys. You know, like I'm cool with that. Like I'm totally down with that.
the reason that I want to purchase a deck, whether through whatever means it is, because I'm not even real sure what all the means are, just marketplace and eBay or other place, whatever. Um, is because I know that I can shoot the moon, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this is my first tournament. All we've talked about for the last 45 minutes is unknowns.
Right.
So I'm just gonna like purchase what looks like the best pile of cards I can. I mean, I've done similar things for other games where I've just like purchased a good deck to go play at whatever event, uh, for Magic or Versus or whatever. And I'm gonna shoot the moon as much as possible. I'm just gonna like try to find the craziest one I can because I know that by doing that, I have extended my effective collection to the effective collection of, many people in the world that have opened much more product than me.
Right.
And
I'm there. I'm done buying like on set one in particular. I here's a question for you, Neil. And we should move to playing games here at some point, but we can maybe talk about it while we're playing games.
well, this is a good discussion.
Yeah. No, I agree. The For Battle for White Fang Pass, how incentivized are you? I mean, how many decks do you want to just open? Is it 50?
Do I want to open?
Yeah.
0.
Right. That's
But I hate opening product in all
right.
games. Like I don't like opening packs. I don't like buying. I like all.
Sure.
I want to open product to play sealed deck,
Right.
to do something like what was that Fuse Fest. I love that kind of format.
Sure.
But as far as just like opening packs, I don't think that opening packs is good value for any player in any game.
Sure. Well,
Like
here's one of the like
you're just
here's
buying lottery tickets. Doesn't matter if it's Solforge or Magic or whatever.
right. So here's my great debate. Right. Here's my great debate for Battle for White Fang Pass, in particular. Like I opened 64-ish decks roughly. I think that was the number I ended on.
Of set 1, you mean?
Of set one.
Okay.
Mainly because obviously I had no baseline, so I might as well just have a big starting collection. And because there is no rotation, I do feel like, at least it's something that's just going to infinitely allow my collection to grow, even with a small number of White Fang Pass editions. So I don't think I want to add another 50, right, for White Fang Pass, right? Like I think I would rather do much like you're saying and play some sealed, get some free decks that way. You know, do constructed events, whatever, and then search out in amongst the community for specific pairings, right? that I'm looking for, right? Specific
Right.
card combos,
I mean,
whatever.
I want to be clear that the mindset that I just discussed about not opening packs is a player mindset.
Right.
So, and it's like a competitive player mindset, right? It also applies to if you have very specific tastes. This is something that is common among card games, like one person only likes to play white cards in Magic or whatever, right?
Right.
So that person opening packs and product and stuff is bad for them, even though they're not like maybe not don't care about competitive or whatever. They still just want to buy the white cards because that's what they're going to play. So
Right.
for players that are in it to like they want something specific, you should not open packs, right?
Sure.
Whether that is specific to be competitive or specific to your playstyle. If the product that you're opening has high resale value, there have obviously been times among all games that buying bulk product has been very profitable
Mm-hmm.
to resell as sealed product or as singles on a secondary market. And I believe that this game could do that because like Keyforge obviously went nuts with that right away.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're coming at it from a business point of view or a money making opportunity point of view, then as long as you understand the system, buying product that way is fine.
Yeah.
It's a risk, but it's an investment like anything else.
Yeah. It's definitely the takeaway I have for it, and I'm going to be very curious. And one of the things I'll be watching closely is how much product does Battle for White Fang Pass sell? Right? Like, will it sell? Will it outsell set one? Do you think? I mean, like,
So the only way that it would outsell set one is if the game turns out to like and I believe that this is going to be the case. I think it will outsell set one.
yeah. I mean, I
But
think that's
I
reasonable.
think that the criteria for that to happen is that they have some successful tournaments. They have a successful rollout of local events
Mm-hmm.
uh, at a small like store level, so there's a place to play, and the game gets some hype, which I think it's already checking off those boxes.
Sure.
But you know, we already know, at least I'm pretty sure, just from the again, my knowledge of the card pool is so bad. I already know that the cards I've seen from set two are more powerful, or if not more powerful, at least like flashier and more complicated than set one cards,
Mm-hmm.
which was a design goal of theirs, I'm sure,
Right.
to
Absolutely.
have.
I mean,
But
the new modifiers are cool. There's a lot of really interesting things. There's a ton more deploy abilities in set two. I think there's lots of really good things happening with set two that make the game better, and Exalt being one of those. I mean, it's this really Exalt's
yeah,
a really
obviously
interesting.
they've like already added a complete new game zone and new mechanics and stuff. So you know that stuff again, it's all the stuff that they need to succeed has been or is checked off. So what we need to see is if in the next month or two or whatever before set two releases that the game continues on this track. And I don't see any reason that it won't, because we're going to have India as a big event, and they have Denver later in the year, Gen Con. I'm sure there are other events,
Right.
and obviously our tournaments and other online stuff. So as long as they remain on that trajectory, I think set two will outsell set one because the cards are interesting, they're cooler, people are more used to the game, more comfortable with the game as an investment. And if local stores are promoting it, I mean, Christ, I saw like people at Hobbytown in Lincoln, playing Final Fantasy card game or whatever that I'd never heard of, and they managed to like cobble together a little community. If that can happen, Soulforge for sure can just foster anywhere.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. Like, I think we have. I do believe that this game has the opportunity to really explode, and I do think that Stoneblade is doing all the right things right now to make that happen, right? Like they've got a digital component. I think is important because when your game is small, you're going to have difficulty finding that localized community. You know, it's all those things.
And they've provided incentive for the local events and for players to play in them, right? Like
Right.
that's like the big thing is a lot of games like they come out and people just think they're going to play the game because the game is fun, and that happens 5 times, but you need to sell 50,000 copies to make your Kickstarter back.
Right.
So, you got to find 49,995 other copies to sell.
Right.
But I think Solforge is doing a good job of incentivizing players to want to play the game outside the kitchen table.
Sure.
That's how it gets seen. That's how it gets hyped. That's how stores know that they want to sell it because people want to buy it,
Right.
and it's as long as that incentive is there, then that's the right.
Ben adding to this conversation, he says it feels more like exalts were cut from set one to reduce barrier of entry complexity, reduce barrier to entry complexity, than them being added to set two just to add a new mechanic for flashiness. Yeah, I can see
Right.
that. Ben.
I know I know for sure that there are cards in set two that they didn't want to print in set one because they're too complicated.
Sure.
And there are cards in set one that, for the most part, there's a couple cards that they didn't want to print in set one because it was too much of a brain burner.
Yep.
And that makes sense. Like, this is a core set. This is a base set. This is
Right.
like
and Ben adds to that. He says Stoneblade clearly has a rollout vision. Yeah, I agree with that too. It seems very much like they have a vision for how this game rolls out and ramps up. And I'm excited for that, to be just completely honest. I think I think that the next barrier of entry is the replacement of TTS. We already know they're working on that. Who knows when we get it, but that just reduces one more barrier of entry because you now don't have to spend $15 on a a baseline engine to be able to play the game in the first place digitally, right? So that obviously Stoneblade's getting none of that money. That's just going to the TTS creators, but you have to have TTS in order to play it on TTS. And TTS isn't perfect. I mean, obviously Shadow and the development team at Stoneblade have done an amazing job of making this mod almost like playing an app, right? But
this mod is incredible. I've never played a TTS mod this good.
Yeah, no, I agree. So,
but you're right that the game would improve with a digital interface that is specific to the game.
Right, absolutely. So
I just picked a random deck of every color and picked 2 of them. I don't even know. This is what I've been doing.
Let's see what you got here. You've got Frankabomb, Dreadbolt, Hibernating Banshee, Drake, Necrotic Slime, Scourge Hydra, Spite Hydra, and Lyria. I have no idea what that deck's doing. You got Spring Dryad, so you're going to gain some life. You got Reveler, Spell Heavy, Uterodon Mauler is very good.
I don't know. I'm reading this. I only know half the cards.
So my deck is.
We have the same exact.
We're FB. Same colors, yeah. I'm playing.
We have literally the same exact FB. It's the same 3 abilities too.
Yeah. So the main thing. Yeah, are you Death Touch on 1? Yeah, you are. Death Touch Army Commander. Okay. I do think that Death Touch is better at slot 3 with what I'm trying to do here, but I don't have a slot 3 Death Touch where I think the deck is good. I'll revisit that with y'all after this, but I wanted to play this deck and see how it goes first. So, yeah, you can kick us off, Neil.
Oh, it's set up already. Okay.
Do y'all like Arrogant Creatures? Chat? Do you like Arrogant Creatures?
That's the front one?
Yeah, front loaded heavy, small life backs. You know, like in fact, in a lot of times their life doesn't increase from set 2 to set 3. So like from cycle 2 to cycle 3. So like you end up playing like a cycle 3 creature with like 6 life. This guy looks cool.
They're good. They're good at like trading up, right? So like
Sure.
you kill one of your opponent's cycle 2 creatures, one of your cycle 1 ones, but you
Mm-hmm.
don't like play them to invest,
Sure.
I guess.
With one of your warriors is dealt damage, give this +2. Okay. I don't know how many warriors you have.
Give it +2. So the warrior that takes the damage is the one that
Right.
gets the buff.
So I'm going to play the Restless Wanderer, but I'm going to make a Wisp. I'm going to put that Wisp out here and then send it back to you.
I'm going to replace this Wisp.
Yep. With the Mauler. Already seeing the power and how good the Mauler is.
That card is pretty good.
It's super good, dude.
Does it is this a non-fused creature? It always has this like same text.
Yes, this is a non-fuse.
Okay.
So, shouldn't it be a 6/8? Not an
I don't
8/6.
know. Did I do it wrong?
Yeah, it's a 6/8 because it's +2/+2 when. No, it's
No.
+4. It's an
If it
8/6.
replaces a
You're right.
creature,
You're right. You're right.
yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Power is the red number, right?
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It has aggressive and breakthrough this turn.
Right.
It is not a warrior though.
I guess I don't have a choice here. I'm gonna replace those wanderers with a rooted batterhide.
What is this thing?
This turn, the enemy one creature loses all permanent abilities. It gets defender.
So why'd you replace your guy?
I guess I didn't have to, right? No.
If you're gonna blank my guy, you shouldn't replace.
Yeah. No, you're right. And then, uh, if I were to gain life, it loses defender and gets aggressive.
Why didn't you play it here?
I guess I could.
Isn't that way better?
Yeah, I guess because I could trade the Packmaster off, and I don't take one in the process. So,
as I say, you don't trade. You like crush me.
yeah. Okay.
This was an incredible play. You like 3-for-1 me here.
Yep. So combat.
Yep.
I guess kill that thing. Take one. Nothing happens here. Nothing happens here.
Well, okay, hang on. We need to go back a little bit because this thing had aggressive. What happens when you? Oh, but it loses all
printed abilities.
Is that a printed ability? I assume it is. It must be, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's not literally printed on the card, it like essential because it gained it. It essentially is.
I would assume so.
It seems like it should work that way.
Yeah.
All right, you annihilate me.
Good.
But yes, I think Uterodon Mauler is a good card. Obviously, I'm sure that that's not like news to the YouTube world, but
Oh, yeah. This is tough. Not an ideal scenario.
what are you talking about? You're crushing me right now.
I mean, right this second, you're right. I am. But
So when I'm crushing my opponent, I would consider that an ideal scenario. What is this? Activate, give your beast +2. That's a dinosaur.
no
Okay.
beast. I don't have a beast to play.
3/4 armor 2. All right. My hand is bad. Well. Oh, and this thing's a defender
Mm-hmm.
until you gain life.
Till I gain
Okay.
life. Yep.
I guess I'm gonna do this.
Hibernating Banshee.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a 3/7.
It is. See, this is where I don't think being on the Forge is actually good for me, but
Yeah, being not the Forge last turn was incredible for you, right? Like going second, it allows you to take the board more. You just can't like attack face.
the issue I've got right now is I'm up on board. I can kill your Mauler and then make a 2/2 Wisp, but I don't know if that's good enough. Maybe it is. Or I can
Well,
make.
by killing my Mauler is saving your Wanderers, right? That's
It is. It's also preventing you from getting to buff another creature with the Mauler trigger.
yeah. Obviously, Mauler's a high value creature, so killing it is fine. But the additional value is that you're not losing your Wanderers.
Yeah, let's Vine Lash, Batterhide, and Mauler.
Okay, so and you get to upgrade your Vine Lash. Like that's not like an ideal Vine Lash, but it is good to get level 2 in your deck.
And then let's make a Wisp minion. Let's go.
All right, but like you said, because I am on the non-forge, I have good plays to make here.
Yep.
So I can't actually kill your. Well, I could kill it, but then let's do. I'm definitely playing this card. I'm gonna decide where. Um.
So this guy, when you destroy an enemy, one creature. Okay.
I have two decisions to make. I've decided if I want to kill your 3/4 or if I want to kill your 2/5, and I've decided what lane I want it in. So I'm gonna kill your 3/4,
I think that's a good plan.
and I'm gonna put it here, I guess.
I think that's also a good plan.
It's like okay. I don't know.
So you take 2. This Wisp dies. Yeah. I take 3
and
from the.
you
Banshee.
take some damage from the thing.
Okay. We end the turn.
And now I am first. I guess I'm gonna play Spring Dryad.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna play a Dissian Siphon.
This is the Drain Life thing.
Yeah, so I gain 3, you take 3. You may destroy
Okay.
a 1 card to play a 1 card for free. I'm gonna play a Wrath's Will. Since I gain life, this is free.
Okay, so you don't want to play the Xeris Will off the Dissian, right?
Why?
Well, because the Xeris Will is free. Like,
yeah, that's true. That's true. Let me.
You want to play a level 1 card that's not free off the Dissian.
Right. So we need to do this first here. So I did my order of operations wrong. I need to do this first before I even played the Dissian.
Okay.
To make another Wisp, and I'm going to put that Wisp.
It can't be here because you sacked this Wisp
to the Dissian. Here.
Okay. So
now I play the Dissian, sack the thing, do the thing. I then play
a level 1 card for free.
A Shroud Thorn Splicer.
This is the replace something with an Oak Father and kill
I'll
it.
Replace this with an Oak Father.
Okay. Do you have any cards in hand?
I have
You do
3
have cards
cards,
in
yeah.
it. Okay.
I'm gonna then play the Zrath's Will,
And this is just make a 3/3, right?
make a 3/3,
Okay.
and this was free because I gain life. And then I'm going to play Forge Seal.
How do you get to play this
Oh,
one?
I don't get to. You're right.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we've got
You used up all your free cards. Your
because
one
this
card for
Wrath
the
Will's
turn
free,
was
right? Yeah,
Dissonant.
yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. We're good there.
All right. Well, I'm gonna pretend like I don't know that you're gonna death touch me. So I don't know if that makes a difference here, because since you played into lanes that are already full, uh, this.
Frankenbaum.
Yep.
Yeah,
Unexciting Frankenbaum, gain 1.
yeah. I'm gonna Forge Seal now.
Okay.
I'm gonna activate the Mindless Zombie, and I guess let's kill the Frankenbaum.
Okay.
And then we go to combat.
Yep. So stuff here. These trade.
Yep.
This kills your guy.
And I
Does for
take 3.
you.
Okay. We're now level 2 Forgeborns.
Yeah. These cards good.
Well, let's start here.
Is this Wanderers again?
Yep.
Okay.
Play a Wisp here.
Uh,
What's up, Mark? How's it going, dude?
play a Spring Dryad.
Okay.
Hey, Mark, how you doing? Thanks for all those games you played with me yesterday. I appreciate it.
Let's Vine Lash the Dryad with the Oak Father.
Yeah.
So I still think that's the right move because I want to try to keep the Wanderer up if I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
Well,
I did technically have to do that there because your Dryad was going to be back row, but I still think it's the right.
yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have put him in the front.
Was that my second card though? That was my second card.
That was your first card, wasn't it? No.
No, because I played
You played Wanderers.
so I need to use the Forgeborn and smash the Banshee dead.
Okay.
Because I think you're going to give me a level 2 card here.
I'm actually not, I don't think.
Okay. Necrotic Slime.
Yep.
That's sweet.
Seems okay. It's gonna trade up to your guy, and
Yep.
I mean this thing already has value, but
Okay. But you
all
keep
right.
it 3/3 on the board. So combat.
I take 6 from this and 2 from this.
No, you take. You got an armor 1 here, so you
Oh.
take 5,
Okay.
and then this dies, and then you take 2 from the Wisp if you haven't.
Does it put it in? It puts it in the same lane. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
3/3.
Well, let me take a look at my discard pile here. Cool. Nice Lyria.
Lyria can be a little rough, man.
The old no level ones in the discard pile.
Don't you have? Oh, you have a grave pack, but it's not a creature, right? She has to play a creature.
Yeah. This card would be bonkers if it played anything.
That's true.
I guess I'm just gonna play Mauler.
Straight up mauler.
Yep.
Well, let's do a Disseed Siphon. Take 4, I gain 4. And then I get to play a 1 or 2 card for free.
If you destroy one of your creatures.
Yeah, I'm going to destroy this Wisp.
Yeah.
I'm going to put in a Tormenting Summoner over here and destroy your zombie.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to activate, make a mindless zombie because I played a spell this turn. And then I'm going to activate this and make a Wisp here.
All right. I'm gonna seriously your summoner thing.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm not gonna put it in my hand.
Yeah, don't do that.
How many cards do you have in hand?
3.
3?
Yep.
Am I a gambling man? God, I wish I can't believe I don't have a level 1 creature. I'm mad. This is some nonsense. All right, I'm gonna play Reveler.
Reveler? Okay.
So go ahead and spell me if you got it.
Summoning Council.
Okay. All right. Cool game. All right, I'm gonna play Ferocious Roar as my spell.
It's a good one.
That's very bad, but it's okay right now, I guess. It's like the best thing I could do.
It's more relevant than you realize here, but
Well, it allows me to like survive the zombie and kill it, but like that was definitely not in my favor at all.
I'm gonna replace this with a Brood Fang and then activate. And I think, do I keep the Wanderer alive? I think I have to keep the Wanderer alive, right?
But you clearly like this is much better to shrink than the other one. Like
Right.
like keeping the Wanderer alive is not even an issue, right? Like
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
it kind of is, I guess, but like
So go to combat.
I suppose if you shrunk the Reveler, it would die and you would keep this. But keeping Wanderer has to be way better, right?
I think so.
know.
Yeah. You take 3, so you go to 2 because I can make a Wisp in that lane to kill the Reveler next turn if I want to. So, zombie dies.
I'm just behind by 1,000 miles.
And then this takes 5, goes to 1. All right, end turn. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's start by replacing this Wisp with a Shambling Creeper. You either destroy a creature or
Oh
take
yeah,
5.
I'm taking 5. I'm I will not even think about it.
Okay. And then I'm gonna activate and put a wisp out here just in case you have a kill spell for that wanderer.
I'm gonna play a Franken boy.
Okay. Okay. Last card is Armored Keeper.
This is that elephant.
Yep. Has 4 armor printed.
Yeah, you have a beast now.
Yep. And then we're gonna activate. Give my beast +4. I have the Brood Fang. This goes to 9.
Hmm.
Oh, Creeper is a beast. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that. You're right. So this goes to 10. I had a method to my madness. I thought about that when I played it, and then I was like, that's why I played it in the order I played it.
Hmm. I think I'm pretty dead because you're gonna get another activation of this thing. There's not a lot I can do. All right, I guess I'm just gonna make a 7/7.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good.
Well, I mean, it's not. It has no effect on the rest of the game, but
Okay, combat.
it's the best thing I can do. Yeah, take 5, 6.
Yep. Then this guy dies, and takes shambling 1. I gain 1.
What do you have that's shambling?
The Creeper.
Okay.
So you're actually going to shamble twice here. I'll gain 2 because you're going to kill the Wanderer as well.
Yep.
And then this takes 6, goes to 3. Okay, enter.
I have to have a good draw here. All right, we got Phoenix Born's back. This thing has armor still, right?
Yes, it's got 4 armor still.
Okay. My stack of just dudes is not good enough here.
Hibernating Banshee. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Um, I have 5/8 Brood Fang here. So go. The big fraud.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a blank 9/13, right? Like,
Sure. Um, okay. Armored Keeper. Activate. Give all my
okay,
base +6.
you win.
Yeah, I
Like,
think we got it.
I'm
So
I have done nothing interactive for 3 turns in a row besides activate Cersei.
Yeah, this
Like
is the
I
deck.
just like put stats in play, and you have played like essentially every activation of this is a card, almost 2 cards right now, and
Yeah,
so you played like 6 cards a turn to my 2.
yeah. It's this is the deck I was talking about, Ben, on the Discord. Yes. This was one of the decks I was. This is a Lycian. It's a Mantis Lycian Rain Cersei Death Touch deck with a Shambling Creeper in it, and obviously Brood Fang's just a monster.
Do you have anything that combos with the Broodfang?
I mean, yeah, I've got Corrupt Apparition. I can destroy a creature.
I guess you have the Dissian Siphon.
I have Distant Siphon, and I also have Corrupt Apparition.
Okay.
And then obviously, like, just level 1 Vine Lash is also just fine with it as well. So the Ghastly Renewal is not very good in this deck, I don't think, because I think I only have 1 Scientist maybe, and that's Sigmund Fraud, and I don't have a lot of access to other zombies. I do have some zombies, obviously, so there might be times when Sigmund Fraud's good. No Blight Witch. Wish I had a Blight Witch, Ben. I have like, in my 64 decks, I have 1 deck with Blight Witch, I think. It'd be really good if there was a Blight Witch. I agree. Be super good. But no Blight Witch.
Yeah, this deck seems very good. This purple half.
So the Shambling Creeper's been very, very good. In my experience, just because it's just more burn.
This card does not seem good to me, but I know people love shambling things.
The bigger version of it's very good. The level 3 version of it.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of this card.
It's 7 damage plus then 3 and 3 every time a creature dies.
It's not 7 damage. It is your opponent's choice, which is always the worst for you.
Sure.
Like that, I mean, it's not nothing. It's better than blank, but that like abilities that give your opponent choice are very low value. But it is shambling. I know everybody loves that, and it is a beast, so it goes with this guy, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, there are 5 beasts in this deck. 5 individual beasts. So the Armor Keeper feels pretty good with the beasts in general.
This thing obviously like won you this game. The make a 2/2 guy was good, but this thing, like, once you had guys in play, I just was never going to beat this.
Yeah.
In a million years.
Yeah.
The first one you played of this guy was bad, obviously, because you didn't have it, but like it was still a fine creature.
Yeah.
As just like a 3/4 armor guy. And then you set up the engine and it was not beatable.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is one deck. I've got another deck that I've been testing that I'll play that hasn't been winning. So I'll share that with folks so they can look at it. I won't play the Drix deck that I've been rebuilding.
Playing randos against that blue half, plus like you could put 10 blanks in your deck, I bet, and that blue half would beat the random decks.
Sure. That's this. This is the other deck that I've been playing. Excuse me. I've been playing it a lot with Sunder, but I don't know if that's the correct move. That's been. I'll try it with Ironbeard since we're just playing randos. Maybe I'll like it better with Ironbeard. It's got, I don't know. I'll show it off with Sunder because Sunder was the original.
Because Ironbeard is like not very good ever.
Ironbeard's actually pretty solid.
I do not like any of the abilities on this card. In any of the modes.
I do think that Knockback and Intimidate are very good. Intimidate being on cycle 4 doesn't really matter. The Knockback is pretty solid for taking away a big threat that could be a problem for you.
Right. I mean, obviously you would rather have abilities than not have abilities. But
Right.
when you compare this card to the abilities on the other
I do wish the Sunder had
Forgeborns, the
swapped
the
abilities. I wish Summon Swarm was level 2 and Gathering Storm was level 3. But
you mean you wish you had the best version of Sunder, is what you're
yes, yeah,
saying?
absolutely,
Like that's
yeah. I mean, I have another
um,
Sunder that has Gathering Storm at 4, but it's just you never get to 4.
right. Level 4 abilities don't matter. That's the same one I just played. I think this one's new, right?
You didn't
What
play
is this
Nyx
half?
last time.
No, the green one is the same. The green half, not the purple half.
Stitcher's cool if you've got access to minion generation.
Stitcher is like my favorite card in the game, actually, I think.
And Camouflage is probably pretty nice. And you got a Shambler here. Yeah, he's raging though.
I don't know what raging is. Is that the one that like it damages itself but has aggressive?
It might be. I don't know. But you got Indomitable Fiend as well. Spirit Leash is mildly okay. It's not like super.
I'm gonna play this, and this.
You're just like matching my colors tonight, all night.
I didn't even look at it. I just picked the ones that had the cards I wanted to play.
Ben like Stitcher. He's on Team Stitcher.
I think it's the best card in the game. Like it's just absolutely stupid what it does.
Neil, you have
So,
the Forge. Good taste. He's giving you
is
the good
this
taste.
I'm gonna
This is a
play
terrible
Rose.
draw. Oh my lord. Chat. What am I doing? Ugh.
All right, let me take a look at your pile here. Chaining Sentinel. Chaining is like the sweetest of all
Yes.
adjectives.
Yes. Chaining is badass.
I don't know how good it like you have to have like a lot of stuff going on for it to be really good, but when it's good, it is very, very good.
Right. Like I want all these cards, but not right now, chat. Like, what am I supposed to do here?
Well, you have to play cards, unfortunately.
Yes, you're right. I do.
Stone Fist. You like
Well,
3/5s? I got 3/5s.
I'll disintegrate it.
Well, I'm very happy about that.
This is how bad this hand is, dude. Like, it's just bad.
Thundersoar.
I can't do anything about the Thunderstorm. Yeah, that's true. I could be on Forge and it'd be very bad. That's no doubt. I'm just gonna play the GS Knight over here, I guess, because what else am I gonna do? I don't get any value because I have no creatures with armor in play. But
Five,
whatever.
4. Okay. No damage.
No damage. That hand sucked. Like bad.
Thundersoar. He's a Godzilla. What are you gonna do? I like how the other dinosaurs are all dinosaurs, but Thundersoar is a Godzilla.
Is this card good, chat? Is Blizzard Shaman good? Like I
Yes.
think there's times when it's good. This obviously looks not like one of those times.
You should not activate it into this board, but that's a card that I know by name and I know it is good. You ask Mark about the Blizzard Shamans I activated yesterday.
It's gonna take a long time for your Thundersword to kill this thing.
May return a creature to its printed. Okay.
Mark says F Blizzard Shaman.
I like 5 for 1 dim with I have 4 for 1 dim with it at level 1. I have 5 for 1 dim with it at level 2, and it also pumped my Thunder Sword level 2. It was incredible.
What you got over there? Give me a card, Neil.
Yeah, I'm thinking one of the 2 cards I'm playing for sure. The other one I am deciding what the best card is. I guess it is this this thing,
How do you kill it?
because suppressing is a sweet adjective.
That sucks. Okay.
Get adjectived. Stabilizing specimen. Why is he a specimen?
He's a. It's the.
Oh,
Ape.
it's like the ape in the background. It's
Yeah.
not the bearded kung fu guy.
Well,
Dude, the
I guess we'll start there.
Pocromancer.
Get adjectived.
You got a problem? He got adjectived. I'm gonna play this
Take
profit.
profit. Yeah.
No spells played though.
Right. Okay. Damage. Damage time.
Yeah, I take 5.
Nope. You take 8. Pockmancer has stuff.
Oh, yep, I take 8. Did I take damage last turn? What did I take damage from?
I don't.
I should be at 42.
Yeah.
Now I am first.
You are. Get adjective, man. If you want me to start making some Shufflebus shirts, man, we've got some sayings that come out of this show. Let me tell you, like we can only be friends if you play limited. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. All right. What the hell is this thing?
uh,
It says 6/7 is what it is. All right, 6/7 it is. Do 3 to Thundersword. Thundersword online.
okay. Um, I guess we'll do a Warmonger mod.
Yeah, that card's fair. I guess it's fair right now.
For now, it's fair. You're right.
All right. Vanilla Man.
Yeah, that's cool.
He's like, this guy's funny to me because it looks like he has like a cowboy hat on and it's real windy. Like he's like trying to hold his hat on his head. Thundersword didn't get adjectived. Oh, wait, maybe he did. Is that what Reckless is? Yeah, get adjectived.
Back up the gizmo. Why do you want me to back up the gizmo?
It's because you're off forge.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Back row.
Got it. Hey guys, what's up, Imp? It's all good, dude. All good. We're in cycle 1 still, right? Yeah. Okay.
Is this did you say Ben? Is this a different Ben?
No. Imp.
Oh.
Imp.
Imp.
Geezer.
I was about to get confused by the number of Bens.
Who's been winning? I won the first game. I think I'm losing mightily in this game right now.
We played the mirror match in the first one, green purple, with the exact same Phoenixborn or Forgeborn. I do it just like you. Uh but my decks came randomly out of these little bags here on the right, and his decks came out of his collection. It was not fair. But it was interesting.
What do I do?
Oh yeah, sorry. Mr. Ben is correct here. I'm gonna give this thing some armor since you
Boost
played a
spell.
Warmonger
Oh,
mod.
I did. You're right. Yep. That's fine. Yeah, I think this is the play. We're gonna play a piercing lasher here.
Okay.
This goes to
2
4.
damage to another creature.
So we're gonna kill that guy.
All right.
We trigger the Apocamancer. So let's do. All right, chat. This I don't know what's worse here. Like, I guess the reckless has breakthrough, so I'm gonna take some damage no matter what. So I think I want it dead. We're obviously not gonna touch the profit right now.
I feel like the Reckless Razor Tooth is like slightly more valuable because it has breakthrough and one more toughness.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do the
Um,
3 to the razor tooth.
yeah. So these are gonna trade. We'll just
Right.
remember.
Yep.
So,
So
all right.
we go combat, right? This dies. You take 4.
Yeah. So this one goes to 2.
Yep.
This one
Dies.
dies.
I
You
take
take
3.
3, and then Apocryphancer bounces off this guy's armor.
I'm losing so bad.
And now we are Forgeborn activated.
Right. Was that the play I made? Ben, I don't know what I played. What did I play?
Said Reckless seems better because you can block. Yeah, yeah. Ben is agreeing with us
Oh,
that
the decision process. Got it.
the dinosaur was the correct target for the Apocryphancer.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I makes I think it's more obvious than we made it seem after I think about it more. Just like the difference between chump block and not chump block, even though one is 6 and one is 8, is just good enough.
Okay. I'm gonna activate Gathering Storm.
Yep.
Play Conflagrate. Do the 5 here from the Gathering Storm and from one Conflagrate, and do the other 2 to the Justicar.
Okay.
I try to get back in this game. Then it's your go.
All right.
Didn't even have a mage in play for that. That's just like a poverty Conflagrate right there.
The old poverty conflagrate. I'm gonna make some gizmos.
Yeah, why not?
The gizmo from Pismo. I don't know if you guys are Futurama fans, but
Nobody knows what you're talking
I
about.
know. Even I don't most of the time.
Epoch?
Play my favorite card in the game. Though I did just talk about Stitch, my favorite card. I also love this card.
Yeah. Ugh. You're on back. Just an
Yes,
FYI.
I am. I apologize.
That helps a little bit here.
Bender goes into the ultimate robot fighting, and so the boxing announcer, they like come out and they hype everybody up. They give him stupid nicknames. So he's like the Gizmo from Pismo Beach.
What am I gonna do?
I don't know. This Thundersour's been in play for 5 turns or something.
That's the way Thundersaur always is, dude. It's such a pain.
Yeah, it's a Godzilla.
I think this is the right play. I'm gonna Warmonger mod.
That seems like a pretty good play.
Put a gizmo here. No, maybe I'm supposed to put it here. I don't know, because you can just swap this.
Yeah, Hawk is sweet.
I guess I'm gonna force you to swap it because I'm gonna replace the gizmo with an Aegeus Knight.
Oh well, now I'm not forced to swap because they won't fight.
Right, but if you wanted to, you could.
I'm just gonna play this thing. Deal 5 to
Don't put
my.
it in front of Epoch Hawk. Why is that? Tell me why I don't put it in front of Epoch Hawk.
It doesn't seem good there to me, but
I already dealt 3 damage from the storm. I don't get to continue to do that, right? Oh yeah, you're right. I do. Shit. That's an. I did not realize that. You're right. It's
right. You off the Warmonger mod, you should have gotten an additional 3 damage.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
So let me reset this.
Yeah.
Real quick.
What did you think? I'd love to know what you think I was going to play. I'm very interested in that. Because I don't know what I would have played different, I guess.
Well, you definitely should fire off your.
Yeah, we're gonna kill the gizmo because I don't know what your plan is. So I would assume you were gonna try to upgrade the gizmo.
Not with an Epoch Hawk in play. I want to have a like crappy dude to shift.
Sure.
But I mean, you stop that from happening as well.
Yeah. I mean, if he moves a Thunderstorm in front of my Stealther, great, right? Like I kill the Thunderstorm here, and my Aegeus Knight lives. Like that feels pretty good. Because I had considered he
swapping
might do
Thunderstorm
that.
doesn't seem good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that that's actively good for him right now, but I mean, if he does do that, then I guess I thought if he moved the Thunderstorm with Epoch Hawk, great. I mean,
okay. Well, I'm gonna play the pterodactyl again.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So I'll take 10.
Yep. I take 8. Go to 39.
Now I am first.
I don't know if the knight's the right play though. I mean, I'm still not convinced the knight is 100% the right play, but what do you do?
I mean, my turn is not going to be particularly strong this round. I'm going to play this thing. Make me another Pismo.
Okay. Let's see if you got an answer to the Alamancer.
What is this thing? For each mage you have, so that's a mage.
I don't think the Apocalypser is actually all that great in this deck, Ben. But
yeah, I do have an answer for that guy. I'm going to play suppressing again. Get adjectived.
Good.
And that was my second card, so I'm gonna hawk me a trade over there. Maybe it's better. I think I want to keep the stealth guy.
I'm so far behind. Ugh.
Yeah, it's not looking great for you at this particular moment.
Let's do Metasite. Let's go ahead and do -3 on the Thundersoar, -3 on the Razor Tooth, and swap them.
Do you even want to swap them?
Yeah, I think so.
Don't you want to? Don't you want to kill the Razor Tooth? Like 5-4 breakthrough versus 7-9 breakthrough.
Yeah, I can just do that. That's fine. We won't swap. I don't
This
know
is
if it
obvious.
makes
This is
any
a higher
difference.
value. The only consideration is the difference between 2 health left on this thing and 4 health left on this thing. But you're gonna
Yeah.
take more damage and leave me with a higher value creature too.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll just do that. So I'm going to take a ton here. So I take 10, 15, 16, 22. So I go to 17.
And this thing did how much to you? It did 7 to your guy.
This deck is just drawn like garbage this game.
I drew all level 1s this turn.
That's not even, I mean, like, I don't even know if that matters, dude. Like, I'm just saying,
Well,
like,
yeah, I'm far enough ahead here that it will still be fine. It just
like I have 3 cards in my hand right now that care about spells and no spells. Like, just
yeah.
like,
The
and my opening hand was 4 spells and 1 creature. Like,
the cares about spells archetype is very cool and one that I think I would really like to play. But I think the decks, like the RNG requirement in the decks is very high.
right.
Because already like the average is like 6 spells in your deck. So you need to have rolled like extra spells in both halves, and they have to be like good spells. And the cards in your deck also have to have rolled cares about spells. Oh my god. Have you seen the picture on Scavenger? This
Scavenger.
guy? Have you just seen the picture? So the first time I saw this card, I thought he was like a wandering samurai, and that thing on his shoulder was like his like Chinaman hat.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and now I realize that he just has a really tiny head
Yep.
and a big old pauldron.
Yep.
This is a charge play version, so he's just a 1/1. He deserves a tiny head.
I must tiny head you.
His level 3 version should have a giant head.
Sure. So that has stealth. So we're gonna take this damage no matter what. And big
Yeah.
ass eyebrows. Ben says big ass eyebrows. Yeah, there are some big ass eyebrows on that thing.
Oh my god. The brows.
Dude needs to go see an esthetician, man. Gotta get that
Well,
shit in check.
let's be realistic. His eyebrows are just normal size. It's they just look giant compared to his tiny head.
You can't say that while I'm drinking water, dude. That's not even fair.
What? that he has a tiny head.
He got normal eyebrows with big head, with tiny head. He's like been Beetlejuice, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
But somehow the stuff didn't hit the eyebrows.
He's like the stupid Goombas from the original Super Mario Brothers movie.
For sure. Okay. Stabilize the specimen, return the suppressing assassin to printed value.
Okay. Do I play big eyebrows guy?
Oh, I'm up front. Shoot. No, he's a defender.
This is a defender, yeah.
Yep.
I don't have the stabilizing guy to kill your specimen this time. Which is
good.
sad.
You just played one, so I couldn't imagine you had another one already.
Well, there are 2 suppressings in this pile.
Well, that sucks.
But I don't have it, so I'm gonna play Lucid Echoes.
Yep.
And I'm gonna upgrade my random spell. And I'm gonna do what I assume is more than 2 to this 10-2. And it is more than 2, it's like 5. All you.
Yeah. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Don't need a big body. I guess I'm just going to upgrade the Chaining Sentinel.
Okay. How many bigger does it get?
Working through that. 5.
You also don't want to play it in this lane, I don't think.
Why? I've stopped 8 damage.
He's not aggressive, right?
I have the Forge.
Oh, never mind. I'm dumb. Sorry. I'm just dumb.
I'm pretty sure I do. Now you can still epoch hawk me. I'm aware of that. There's not much I can do about that.
Well, right, but I'm not gonna trade my. I'm not just gonna sacrifice my epoch hawk to save an 8/4.
Well, you wouldn't.
You're taking
epoch hawk would live.
Oh, right, because it says 8. Yeah, right. Yeah. So maybe that is better.
I'm sure it is because I take 8 damage.
Well, the difference between 6 and 8 is like meaningless, kind of. But this actually might kill you. No.
Unless you've got some way to pump the Thunder Sword.
What? I have raging this thing.
So that's 4, 9, and 8 is 17 exactly. So yeah, that's game.
So Epoch Hawk did get there.
Yep.
I would have figured that math out eventually, but you made it easier by convincing me with the toughness argument.
Yeah, I mean, I just drew awkward all game, dude. But I mean, this deck has not won, but maybe 1 game. I don't think it's very good.
And it was like particularly bad that like I got 3 free cards off my suppressing guys.
Yeah. For sure. But that's what happens in this deck a ton. Is like I just die to remove.
Right. It. A lot of. I mean, again, my card pool knowledge is small right now. I'm working on it, but suppressing seems like an incredible adjective, and it even more preys on decks with utility guys like this. Like your deck had this guy and a Pocromancer and whatever that other guy was, the mage that I killed, and so if you have 4 or 5 targets for it at every level, it's always going to be a Necrotal. It's always going to be insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are other things that this deck can do pretty if it can get set up, but it's just I've had difficulty getting it set up.
Thundersword went the full distance.
It was nearly meaningless. You know, at the end of the day, like
it's just funny. This was like literally the first card played in the game.
Yeah. I mean, it just like wasn't going to disintegrate it, right? Like,
oh yeah. It's a card that's very awkward to deal with under most use cases.
Yeah, the only way you could really deal with it is to match its power and toughness, right? And I think Metasight's a pretty reasonable answer to it, just to kind of slow it down.
You can kill it with like other reasonably sized creatures because it'll like do 0 to them once,
right?
And then they'll trade, or like obviously there's actual or suppressing guys.
I just had to actually draw a creature in my first hand, which I didn't. Which is, I mean, I drew the worst creature in my hand, which is the Aegeus Knight. Like, I think this is the worst creature in my deck. So
that card doesn't seem particularly good.
No, it's awful.
It's kind of neat that like, I guess its armor is like not that important. I was about to say that this armor like protects it from the thing, but it just doesn't fight.
No, it's getting +3 attack for each creature with armor in place.
So okay, I didn't understand that. So yeah, this card's fine. I mean, it's not good.
It's got a built-in synergy with Shields Up, right? Where you and your creatures get 4 this turn. So if you can get a flood of creatures,
and it becomes a giant,
giant stealther. But I just don't.
The artwork is sweet.
Yeah,
but that card's like, it's like exactly fine, right? Like it's not bad, but it's not great.
And this is to FYI for those that were here for earlier when you talk about community crowdsourcing deck build. This is a crowdsourced deck build. This was a conversation about like, and it works against people with armor. I guess that's some percentage of games that's going to happen.
Yeah, it gets your opponent's guys too.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, slightly better than if it was only your guys, but corner use case mostly.
Yeah. So we got a couple of games in, Neil, but like we were talking about earlier, and for those of you that come in later in the show, you can go back and watch the VOD. We talked a little bit about the tournament on Saturday. We talked a little bit about just like our progression as players of Solforge and just the sort of wandering in the wilderness is what I called it right now. Trying to figure out like what makes something good, what's makes something bad. And you know, it's been an interesting experience for sure. You know, and I said earlier, like I have the Drix deck that I think is pretty solid. But if you pair it with another deck that is also competing for plays, it can be very difficult to determine what is the correct line in a given game. And so, in my astute perception is you almost need to have a second half that isn't necessarily competing for those actions. When you've got a strong half, you need it to be a good support for situational and tech. But and so to that effect, I have started to pivot away from what I was doing with the Drix deck to a deck that is paired with some more removal and things like that can take advantage of trying to regain board control when you already have board advantage through things like Drix and Apocamancer. So anyways, but to be fair, like Apocomancers don't live. I mean, if your opponent lets an Apocomancer live, it's pretty rare.
You have to have like the go button on it when you play it, right? Like the first one doesn't have to be good, like insane. I think your first Apocomancer is actually pretty good. Because you got 3 damage out of it and it traded with a creature of mine.
Sure.
So like a level 1/3/5 that killed another guy is good.
Sure.
And then when you get the level 2/1, you have to be ready with the go button. Like you have to have the Warmonger mod, or you have to have like a level.
Well, the Warmonger mod won't work. You have to play Warmonger mod, Apocomancer, and then hope you have enough time to replace the Gizmo. If you don't,
Well, I'm assuming the Apochromancer's in play. Like you
yeah,
don't literally have to do it all the same action you play the Apochromancer, but you can
sure,
go like Apochromancer as your first card, and
yeah,
your second card is Warmonger mod, Gizmo replace something, replace Gizmo,
right.
and you get 6 damage off a level 1. I don't know what the bigger ones do, but I assume it's 5 or
It's
something.
5 on the level 2, and then it's I think 7 on the level
So
3.
if you have like a Steel Rosetta in that deck that has the make 2 gizmos, that's one way to do it. You just want to be able to fire off a couple of Apochromancer shots the same turn that you play it at level 2, I think. At level
Right.
1, you can kind of toy around with it and just invest, but that card's no Drix, right? Like
Sure.
it's Apochromancer is like the Megatron to Drix's Optimus, where Drix makes the gas and Apochromancer like guzzles the gas.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah. No, I agree. Like obviously those two are just kind of high value against each other, no doubt. The Drix Apochomancer play is actually has to carry over across 2 separate turns inside the cycle, right? It's not like 2 actions gets it done, because the Drix doesn't get it done on its own. And so unless
the Apochromancer doesn't deal damage if it replaces something, right?
Correct, it has to be another creature in another lane.
Right. So you could do it if you had another creature. So you have a creature in play, you play Apochromancer, you play Drix.
If you can replace if Drix can replace a creature, then yes, you can trigger Apochromancer.
Well,
and make another gizmo.
So if you have 2 creatures, even better, because you could play Apochromancer your first card, then like activate Rosetta or whatever, some way to put some guys in play or have guys left over, and then you like replace with Drix, and you can make a gizmo and replace with that gizmo.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way pre-cycle 2 though, because you need you need the Forgeborn ability from Rosetta. So
right, but we're talking about mostly cycle 2 plays here, right? Because at level 1, like the Drix is just okay.
Yeah.
Right. Level 1 Drix is just okay.
Sure.
Level 2 Drix is where it starts getting stupid. And I don't know about Apochromancer. Level 1 Apochromancer seems pretty good, but the level 2 one is probably better. And obviously you could draw them in the same cycle, having played them in cycle 1.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's been interesting. I mean, this deck has not won a game, so it tells you enough about.
I don't know about Specimen. That card seems like
it's probably a win more card.
Right. If you're not taking damage, you're like already probably winning.
It's got big health stats, and the level 3 is obviously finish the game type good.
I'd hope so. That's like this every level 3 card.
Yeah, it's
where's the
it's in my deck. Sorry.
Oh.
So the level 3 version is
it just this card feels like a card that if it's being triggered, you're already winning. You don't need the trigger to do anything.
Yeah. I mean it does help, but I mean there are game states where you just make a 418 and stand against, something like a 1/6, for example, or whatever, and you kind of just stand there and just
right, but like in that example, this could be any card essentially. Like,
well, but any card, I mean, any card doesn't do the other thing. Yeah, Ben says Specimen is kind of a main. Yeah, I agree, Ben. It does feel like a win more, kind of a joke card. In that
it's hard for me to envision a real board state where if this goes off, you wouldn't have won anyway.
Sure.
Because essentially, like assuming that you're playing a level 3 in its place, right? So, because if we're just talking about you making no plays, then obviously you're not winning. But if you're going to play a card instead of this,
yeah,
and essentially like you're either blocking and not dying or trading in every lane that your opponent has a thing.
Sure.
So if this is just a like any guy of reasonable size, it does a very similar thing where you're just gonna be like ahead after that interaction.
Mm.
Um, it just people like this kind of effect because
Yeah,
people like to like sit on stuff, right? People like things that sit there and they feel like they're like, you know, grinding away at this engine when in actuality, like you're much more likely to win off an effect like Epoch Hawk than an effect like Specimen.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the power of this deck sits in the mages, between the red and the blue
Yeah.
side, and then
I mean, Apocrymancer is a good card. You have an Epoch Hawk too. That's a good card. You have a Conflagrate. That's a good card. And Warmonger mod. And you have Warmonger mod plus Gathering Storm.
yeah, Gathering Storm Warmonger mod is really really good. I wish
Just
that
spells that are free is good with
right,
obviously.
and it works extremely well with Chaining Sentinel if you have the nuts draw.
Oh yeah, for sure you go bonkers with Chaining Guy.
Yeah,
Uh
so you kind of you play two or
you
three spells in round
you play
cycle
level 2
one.
Warmonger mod, put Chaining Guy in play another spell. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the dream.
yeah, but and honestly the All Star has been the Chaining Sentinel and the Voltaic Prophet. Those have been the two like all stars on this deck. The combat
Yeah,
spell knight's okay.
I'm okay with Voltaic Prophet. That card seems fine.
Yeah, but
This card is okay.
yeah, like I said, the
I
combat
guess
spell knight's
this
okay.
card is good because you have a Conflagrate, right?
Mhm.
If this card wasn't a mage, it would just be like very meh. But
Yeah, I mean these are the.
I love a Blizzard Shaman.
I mean,
This card is sweet.
so I think that covers.
Blizzard Shaman would have been so good on that turn.
If I had it, I didn't have
Right.
it.
That's what I'm saying. It's like this card's awesome.
I have a Thunderstorm in my deck as well. I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
The
Godzilla.
but that's the other mage there. Lightning Tamer.
I like a Lightning Tamer too. This card is also very good.
Yeah, it's a 2-for-1 card, right? And it
Right.
gives you value when you play spells, and so, uh, you know, I think Lightning Tamer.
Well, yeah, it kind of requires a spell, right? Like it is a 2-for-1, but if you don't play a spell, it's not really a 2-for-1 because you
Right.
haven't gotten like any stats out of it.
Yeah, the card
but-
the spells that I have in the deck that are really good with it are obviously like Conflagrate and Burnout. Those do powerful things in this.
Burnout's fine, yeah. Conflagrate's very good. You have the deal 8 thing too, right?
The Disintegrate, yeah.
Yeah, also very good.
Yeah. I think Disintegrate's probably on single target removal, Disintegrate's probably third on that list. It's
I don't know.
I think
I mean
Dreadbolt's probably number one, but it's possible that it depends on that whether you evaluate Botanimate as a removal. I think it probably is.
yeah,
So,
I mean that card's very good too.
so I think Dreadbolt and Botanimate. I can't say that word ever. Are probably very similar in their strengths, and then I think Disintegrate's right there behind it.
Yeah, I mean it has seemed to me that just creature combat is better than flat removal spells in most cases. It's not
Yes.
true in every case, but because sometimes there's something that you have to like deal with right now. You can't wait until the end of turn for it to die.
Right.
So those cards are important for the game, but in general, like you just rather have like a man to fight it.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I could have done different in this game round one where I had the 4 spells is one of my spells was Burnout. And so I could have played Burnout, made a spell sprite off of it as the best I could do. And then
Yeah, in
your second play Disintegrate to get the spell sprite pumped up and like
in that turn, you were gonna get blown out by well, maybe this doesn't die to suppressing, right? No, wait. How big is the spell?
it turned into a 3/4.
It makes a 4/4, right? Because
No,
it doesn't get pumped by its own ability, it gets pumped by the burnout. It would then get pumped again if you played another spell.
Right.
So
that's right.
So it's a 4/4 flat. So that wouldn't have got suppressed.
No, the level 1's not that high though.
Oh, this is the level 2. Okay, so you would have got suppressed, regardless of whether you played that or whatever random guy you played, right? Because I played
Well, I made the Aegeus.
this.
I made the Aegeus Knight, which you couldn't suppress, but
Right, but what were my turn one play? I thought it was this and suppressing something.
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
Because I think I ended up.
We ended up.
I made an Aegeus Knight and then a Disintegrate. You made the big dude, the just the like flat base.
Right. I just made the 3/5, the stout or steadfast giant. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
you wouldn't have to worry about the suppressing guy in round one.
Yeah. So
turn one.
I would have been able to still kill the 3/5 and made well, it'd have been a 5/4 at that point. Spell Sprite, because I would have played I had to play the Disintegrate second instead of first.
Yeah. Right. And so it ended up almost identical because you had a 5/4, right? That's what that Aegis Knight was when.
I just would have had a 5/4 that could have continued to grow. So there's
you would have had you would have had a spell guy instead of an Aegis Knight, and your burnout would have been upgrading your deck instead of Aegis Knight.
Right. So probably better would have been a better.
That was probably slightly better, unless you were worried about me having a Tinkerer or something, but I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even look at your deck to see if you had Tinkerers in it.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, we're going to wrap up for tonight, but we will be streaming all day Saturday.
All day on Saturday. So if you're in the tournament,
and
you're watching this now, or you're watching this before Saturday, get your stuff submitted to the event.
Yep.
Because we have players that haven't had decks submitted yet, right?
Yeah, the fusing the deck. There are decks that haven't been fused yet. The tournament does require the decks to be fused, so you'll need to fuse that. I know that some people have had some issues with fusing if they have fused set 2 cards. There's a bug, so if it sounds like the workaround for that is to archive your set 2 fuses, and then you'll be able to fuse your set 1s and attach them to the tournament. So,
and be ready bright and early on Saturday,
8 a.m. Central, man. We're gonna take off of this.
I mean, if you're playing in the event, be here before then. That's this isn't like a be there at 8. This is so event starts at 8.
Event will start at 8. We will have a brief player meeting just to talk about expectations, and then table 1 will always be in our TTS room. So we'll talk about that for the players, but ultimately everybody else will just line up their TTS games and go into game rooms in our Discord server. If you're not in our Discord server, why not get in the Discord server?
If you're in the event and you're not in our Discord server, you're going to get dropped. So
you'll definitely you definitely want to be there before that. And then we're gonna go fast and furious with this thing. 50-minute round timers, sudden death rules in place, and we're not going to waste a lot of time because we want to get through the Swiss rounds. We've got 21 players right now, so we should be looking at, is that 5 rounds of Swiss now? I don't remember. I have to go back to the rules.
Yes, that is correct. 5 rounds.
Yeah. So
5 rounds of Swiss cut to top 8, right? At that number.
I believe that's correct. I'm looking at
it. That's like the standard for games is between 16 and 32 is 5 rounds cut to top 8.
Right. So I'm just looking up the numbers now. So 17 to 32 players will be 5 rounds of Swiss, cut top 8. You're correct. So unless we have an influx of players that push us over 32, we'll have 5 hours of Swiss. That puts us done right a little after lunchtime for many people. And then we will take probably a small break, but not a big one because we've got 3 more rounds to go through. Like a quick 30-minute, grab a snack, get yourself put together. Then we'll take off with the top 8 and we'll cover top tables from that point forward. So obviously we encourage streaming. So if anybody that's participating in the event wants to stream their own games, by all means, please do that and let us know if you're doing that. We'll be happy to share that within the stream description so that other people can follow along if they want to follow a favorite player or something like that. So, all right. I think that covers everything. And I'm excited to see you all Saturday morning, bright and early. So I'll be drinking lots of coffee.
Yep.
But I have the easy day, man. I just get to commentate.
I love these single days where we just commentate all day. I'm very excited about it.
Yep,
so
yep. Me too. So obviously, one of the things we'll work on as we develop is, for those of you that have followed us for a long time, you know that we tend to have tournament overlays and things like that. I don't have that ready to go for this tournament. I need to sort of figure out how I want that to look within the realm of TTS. And once I have that, then I will create some more organized overlays to share data. So what you're seeing tonight is basically what you'll get, minus Neil and I's heads aren't going to be on the screen all day long. So, all right. I don't think there's anything else. We will see you all Saturday. Thank you for everybody that commented and spent time with us tonight. It was great to see you all. We'll be back on Saturday and then again next Thursday. So we'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody.